Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bolling. Welcome to Cash In. Our Cash In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Honig, Michelle Fields, and Juan Wilkins. Welcome, everybody. As we approach the 13th anniversary of 9/11 attacks on our homeland, ISIS is getting stronger. And get this, 6,000 foreigners here on student visas are MIA. Is the White House doing enough to protect Americans and America's economy against another attack? And we're going to start with you, Jonathan.
Well, Eric, we have the military might to destroy jihadism. What we lack is the moral certainty. I mean, ISIS, Hamas, Boko Haram, Hezbollah, anyone seeing a trend here? I honestly think the president is afraid. He uses the term ISIL just because he's afraid to use the term Islam. If you can't name the enemy, you can't defeat it. And to say that ISIS or ISIL doesn't represent any philosophy explains why we're losing and why militant Islam is stronger now than it's ever been.
All right, we'll jump to you, Juan, right now. You're making a face, but I got to tell you, we have no. Let's not put the cart before the horse. We have no strategy in any calls. We need to bring ISIS to a manageable problem. Is that possible? Is he tone deaf, or is he just lost in the woods?
I think you're behind the curve here, Eric. I mean, the president has been overseas, and he said very clearly ISIS is a threat. He has made it very clear that we are going to go after ISIS. He's working to build a coalition to do just that and to make America safer. I mean, look at the reality. If you use the metric the Bush administration used, we've had no attacks on the homeland. None. Zero.
Whoa, hold on. Because the Department of Justice decided to call Nidal Hassan workplace violence, not what it really was. It was terror. And we're just lucky Underpants bomber didn't blow up over Detroit. And we're really lucky, a couple of blocks from over here, the Times Square bomber didn't blow himself up.
You're hyping. You're stretching to try to make the point. I appreciate it, but it's just not the fact. There's no major attacks on the homeland. $61 billion spent on homeland security.
Let's do this. Let's give you that. Let's give you that, which I'm not ready to do, but we'll give you that just for a moment. Let's talk about what's really going on here. Guys, pull up the first full screen. These are three young Americans from Minneapolis, from the Minneapolis area in Minnesota, three men who've decided to go over and fight for either Al-Shabaab or Al-Qaeda. Douglas McCain MacArthur, Mr. Mohammed, and Troy Castigar. Troy Castigar, I'm going to roll this soundbite, and I want Michelle to listen to this. Listen to this and respond to this. Take a listen.
If you guys only knew how much fun we have over here. This is the real Disneyland.
So, Michelle, this is going on, and we have been very, very lucky. Juan's right, but how long before our luck runs out?
Well, look, this is a dangerous situation. We have an open border. We have Americans who are fighting with ISIS. There's over a dozen fighting with ISIS, and American citizens, 100 are in Syria. Those are the estimates. And their passports haven't been revoked. This president is interested in managing the problem, managing ISIS, when he should be destroying ISIS. This is a huge situation. In Libya, there are airplanes missing. Who's to say that there won't be a terrorist attack in the near future? They have jets on them right now, and they want to attack us.
We want to make this clear that we're not, that the CIA and the FBI hasn't actually confirmed those missing jets, but if they do, we will certainly be reporting on that. Wayne, let's talk about this a little bit. There are 6,000 visa jumpers that are completely vanished, and they're concerned about them. There are 58,000 last year alone visa jumpers who are late to report. I mean, this is very concerning, is it not?
Well, yes, Eric, it is. But that's a whole immigration issue too that you have to get into as to who are they letting in and who are they not, and how can they identify them. But Jonathan makes a point when he says there are all of these different ones. If you go to Wikipedia and look up the number of terrorist organizations that exist, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, et cetera, there are hundreds and literally hundreds of these. And if you can't identify your enemy, there's no way to attack them. We do know one thing. Right. There is a common denominator. They're either Shiite or they are
Sunni.
What do I want to say? Sunni. Yeah. Yes. So if you're Sunni or Shiite, at least we can divide that. And the enemy of our enemy is our friend. So we should be doing that. We should be trying to pay attention to how we divide them and keep a balance of power.
Go ahead, John.
I have to say, I disagree. The enemy, we have enemies, and they're the ones who are declaring war on America and slicing journalists' heads off. And you know what? We don't have, Eric, to your point about people on visas, etc. We don't have Japanese kamikazes now. We don't have SS stormtroopers because we destroyed that enemy. We totally discredited those ideas. I honestly wonder if our current administration would have won World War II. I think we'd have lost it. We needed to take a page of General Douglas MacArthur. No substitute for total victory. That's the only thing that's going to keep us safe.
There. I know everyone wants to jump in. Let me bring it to you for a second. Another very concerning thing to me that no one's really talking about right now. All of a sudden, we've taken our eye off the ball, and the ball being Iran. Probably our biggest foe, our biggest terror foe on the planet, bar none, will be Iran. Now, we've lifted sanctions on Iran. We've kind of made nice with them. They've been the biggest supporters of terror in the history of the planet. Why are we now all of a sudden deciding we may have to get in bed with Iran? This is dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and it's also dangerous in terms of potentially getting in bed with Assad in Syria. But why? Because we've decided that ISIS is the critical issue here. And remember, Iran has been helping us to try to stabilize what's going on in Iraq. And I mean, that's puzzling, you know, but that area of the world, picking up on what Wayne was saying about Sunnis versus Shia, you know, they have generations, centuries-old enmities. And to get involved with them, I think, is very tricky. I think what we have to do is identify our interests. But don't forget, we are using military strikes against ISIS, and we're threatening not only when we go after ISIS, we somehow then might be helping Syria. We might be helping Iran. That's how complex this situation is.
It's not Sunni versus Shia. Right, it's jihadism versus America. And Juan, you say they're bombing us, but when asked, the State Department says, oh, no, we're not at ISIS, and, oh, we've got to build a coalition. What about acting in America's interests? What about declaring war on those who've declared war on us? This administration...
They don't want to say that we're at war with ISIS.
Okay, guys,
hold on.
Hold on, I got to roll this. And Michelle, listen, this is absolutely baffling. This happened late this week. There's a gentleman, Donald Morgan, who was a cop. He was a bodybuilder. We have a full screen of this guy who became, he tried to become, he's an ISIS wannabe. There he is right there. The guy on the right, that's the same guy. Well, goes from cop, military service, bodybuilder, becomes an ISIS warrior, tries to become. Take a listen to his explanation. Listen, guys.
Someone has to defend Islam, and somebody has to defend innocent Muslims.
Now, Michelle, you know, I rolled the soundbite of the three guys from Minnesota. This is scary. This is homegrown terror. What do we do about this?
Well, first off, we need to revoke the passports of these American citizens that are fighting with ISIS. ISIS right now is much more dangerous than Al-Qaeda was pre-9/11. They are more ambitious, they have tons of money, and they want to come attack and prove their strength to the entire world. What we need right now is leadership. We're having ambassadors killed, journalists killed, and this president seems as though this is not a big deal at all.
All right, guys, before we go, I want to take it around the horn. I'm going to make a comment. Give me 10 seconds. 15 seconds if you agree with me or disagree with me. We are less safe. We are the least safe we've been since 9/11, 2001. Start with Jonathan.
We're as least safe as we've been since the Beirut bombing of the late 70s, early 80s, Eric. We have avoided and evaded the enemy. That enemy is militant Islam, jihadism. We're asleep at the wheel, and they get stronger.
Wayne?
I have no idea. I know this, though, that the peace of the world was maintained from 1812 Waterloo to 1914 World War I by men who understood the balance of power. The balance of power in the Middle East is Shiite and Sunni, and that's what we've got to identify, and I agree with Juan about that. And Jonathan is all wrong. You don't just jump up and start shooting people random, and you've got to understand the balance of power.
That's exactly what I'm advocating here. That's exactly what I'm advocating.
Michelle, your thoughts? Lisa?
Yes, ISIS is more powerful than Al-Qaeda was. We have no leadership, and we have an open border. So, yes, we are less safe than we were 15, 20 years ago.
All right, you bring it on home, Juan.
We have a hardened target. I think we have done a great job in the United States of protecting ourselves and making it more difficult, and that's why we haven't had any attacks. We should say thank you.
We're going to say thank you for sticking around for the next block because it's going to be very good. We have to leave it right there.